Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday edition of your favorite program on television, Inside Nigeria, your number one breakfast show on television. My name is Winifred Webo, and today is October 10, 2023. And this first segment of the program, we are doing newspaper rounds and, of course, looking at some select headlines of some select newspapers. We start off with Leadership, Nigeria's most influential newspaper. Leadership says insecurity, 60,000 schools vulnerable to attacks nationwide. Insecurity, 60,000 schools vulnerable to attacks nationwide. 9 years after Safe School Initiative struggles. 9 years after Safe School Initiative struggles. There is a graphics design underneath that leading story where it captures over the years the 20,000. First, we have first paragraph, 21,000 fully covered under Safe School Initiative. The second, 02, we have NSCDC trains response team in Northeast, North Central. And it had 9 years of that is part of the Safe School Initiative. The third was to deploy female squad in volatile states. Leadership reports that insecurity, 60,000 schools vulnerable to attacks nationwide. 9 years after Safe School Initiative struggles. And from that, we move over to ahead to other stories on the paper. We have Kano government bars appointees from receiving palliatives. This comes with just above the masthead. 67 bandits killed, 29 kidnapped victims rescued in Bauchi. Telecom operators want tariff hike over operating costs. Fuel subsidy has not returned, Kyari insists. Israel-Palestine conflict will have minimal impact on Nigeria, according to experts. Story continues on page 7 of the paper. Bolale Rahim, killer cop to die by hanging. Diphtheria, Yobe records 117 deaths, 1,796 cases. Go on, alive, hale, and healthy, Kabi Bagi. The story continues on page 4 of Leadership. Of course, there was a scare yesterday over the reported alleged demise of former President, General Head of State, Yakubu Gowon. However, this story debunks that information. Gowon, alive, hale, and healthy, Bagi. With this, we move over to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Our stand, as you well know, is the editorial stand of the paper for today, Tuesday, 10th of October, 2023. Our stand today is on Mental Health Day, issues of human rights. Today, October 10th, is World Mental Health Day. It's a day set aside by the UN, United Nations, to celebrate, to throw more awareness on mental health issues. And of course, our stand today is on that Mental Health Day, issues of human rights. Find out more as you log on to the website of Leadership. From page 3, we move over to the back page of the paper. Tuesday column with Ray Murphy. Ray Murphy writes on poor parenting and rising youth misbehavior. Poor parenting and rising youth misbehavior. For more on this, continuation of cover stories, log on to the website of Leadership, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, The Guardian is next on our menu. The Guardian leads on the scarcity of diagnostic services, cripples cancer care in Southeast states. Scarcity of diagnostic services cripples cancer care in Southeast states. That's the leading story on The Guardian today, Tuesday, October 10, 2023. And of course, the graphic illustration says 22 million residents of Southeast have limited cancer diagnostics machine in public tertiary institutions. Residents depend on private facilities or referred to other regions. Absence of MRI machines. No mammography machine until 2007. Refurbished Oncology Center of UNTH, that is University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, opened just 2 weeks ago. This is alarming. For more on this, follow the story on online, www.guardian.ng. And beneath that, we have anxiety in Benue as Cameroon shares excess water from Lagdo Dam. Shiites PFN differ as Hamas-Israel conflict drags into third day. Marketers groom seek subsidized foreign exchange as federal government offers 90 import licenses. These are the leading stories on The Guardian today. And for more on that, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, this day is next on our menu. This day says Kyari, Nigeria to be net exporter of refined petroleum products next year. Kyari, Nigeria to be net exporter of refined petroleum products next year. Says Tinubu saved NNPC from going bankrupt by removing fuel subsidy. Underneath that, we have Israel Hamas war death toll tops 1,500 as Gaza Strip is bombed. Gun battles rage for third day. Story continues on page 26 of The Guardian. Slain lawyer killer cop ASP Vandi to die by hanging. Court adjourns Ondo deputy governor suit to encourage reconciliation. Court adjourns Ondo deputy governor suit to encourage reconciliation. CBN Naira to no threat. CBN says no Naira no threat to financial stability. Story continues on page 5 of This Day. With 50% capacity, NLNG train 8 no longer feasible, says Michel Bila. Blame situation on oil theft, scarcity of feed gas supply. That's the last story that graces the cover of This Day today. From This Day, The Punch is next on our menu. The Punch says federal government denies subsidy return. More fuel stations shut. Federal government denies subsidy return. More fuel stations shut. And NPCL blames pockets of fuel crews on road delays. 25 refinery licenses idle over subsidy, says Kyari. Of course, we have the picture of the slain lawyer Bolale Rahim on the cover of The Punch, and the killer ASP Vandi as he was sentenced yesterday and also being led out of court. Lagos NBA welcomes death sentence for killer Paul. That is the story for that picture. Pictorial on The Punch. Domestic airlines demand jet fuel import license forest. Domestic airlines demand jet fuel import license forest. Katsina policemen rescue 171 kidnapped victims in 4 months. Bauchi governor empowers vigilantes with 10 million naira 30 motorbikes, which takes us above the stories on the masthead. Above the masthead, Israeli-Hamas conflict. Federal government warns pilgrims against illegal trips. Lagos suspends airlifting. 310 pilgrims evacuated from Jordan. Death toll nears 1,500. 4 consortia to fix dilapidated pipelines. For more on this, log on to the website of The Punch, www.punchng.com. From Punch, Daily Sun is next on our menu. Daily Sun released with the story, Nigeria's grand assault as Qatar hosts female lawyer Bolanle. Monarchs trail NBC's threats to media. Tinubu appoints 5 more into presidential media advisory team. Article Monks. Mba gets assemblies known to borrow 170 billion naira for capital projects. Others. Rules out sale of presidential hotel. IGR now CISLAC protest indiscriminate tax incentives to firms. Church leaders charge Tinubu to end insecurity. Police rescue 171 kidnapped victims from terrorists in Katsina. And the last story on the cover today is just beside the masthead. 99,985 Nigerian students led for UK varsities in 5 years, according to the government. For more, log on to the website of Daily Sun, www.sunnynewsonline.com. And from Daily Sun, we move over to the last paper on our menu today, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says recall of ambassadors, envoys stranded as federal government food drags on implementation. Recall of ambassadors, envoys stranded as federal government food drags on implementation. No machinery motion for envoys return, sources say. Ambassadors here to receive AIE's cash backing. I won't return without getting my entitlements, envoy insists. Overzealous politicians pressuring, halting the process. Ambassador Keshi knows they have destroyed Foreign Affairs Ministry. And of course, you have the picture of some of these ambassadors just beneath the headline story. Ambassador Joe Keshi, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, and President Bola Tinubu. Israel intensifies attack, enforces total blockade of Gaza. Cuts power supply, food, fuel, drugs. Hamas threatening to kill hostages. Shiites back Palestinians. We break gins of non-harmonization of database in Nigeria, according to the Interior Minister. Diphtheria, Yobe records 117 deaths, 1,796 suspected cases. Osimhen's coach at Napoli faces sack. That's the story on Sports Today. It's been a trending one. And just beside that, we have Tinubu appoints Fela Durotoye, 4 others in his media team. EU reports inaccurate reflection of 2023 polls, according to Wiki. And above the masthead of Vanguard, we have Naira no threat to financial stability, says CBN. Worry concerts, Davido organizers at war over non-appearance. Japa federal government okays engagement of retired health workers on contract basis. Petrol subsidy not back, Kyari, NNPCL CEO. Of course, with that, we've come to the end of this first segment of the program, Newspaper Review, reaching you on Leadership Television on the platform of Inside Nigeria. Your number one breakfast show on television. My name is Winifred Bebo, and we have a virtual guest on the program waiting already for the second segment of the program. Don't go away, just stay tuned. Okay. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Webo once again, and it's my pleasure to be hosting you on this second segment of the program. Of course, I have a virtual guest is already waiting. It used to be a midweek guest. He is a triple chief, as I like to introduce him. He's a syndicated columnist, a TV host, and of course, a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, good morning. It's good to be seeing you.
Wow. Good morning.
Yeah, red cap today, red cap trip. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Today is a red letter day. Remember, today is 10/10.
Yes, 10/10, yes. And of course, incidentally, today is a World Mental Health Day. It's a day set aside by United Nations to throw light on mental health issues all over the world. Perhaps let's start with that. So, you know, the issue of mental health is still shrouded in unsavory circumstances in Nigeria. It's taking that many Nigerians see people suffering from mental health as people evil, witchcraft, and all whatnot. Since last year, we've been seeing security operatives busting some homes and seeing some of these mental health patients, Nigerians living with mental health, in chains, and at worst, even their ankles are chained down in all these various homes. Even in their own family homes. It's not helped by the fact that most of these religious leaders are also terming or creating that impression that having mental health is evil. So what can actually be done about it?
Okay, so happy International Mental Day.
Yes.
And what I would say is that there's still a lot of awareness that needs to be created if we want to deal and demystify this mental health issue. Many people do not see mental health challenge as something serious. And there's also this belief that anybody with mental health is mad.
Yes.
And should be confined to the sanatorium or to psychiatric hospital. And, you know, it's something that anybody with mental health should be ostracized. So a lot of awareness has not been created by our health authorities. And I will take it from the angle of preventive health. I think our preventive health is rather lackadaisical. We are not doing sufficient awareness creation about so many things. There is a lot of shall I call belief system that are injurious to our well-being that are still being lost. So somebody maybe at the early stage of mental health challenge, and instead of you to rally around and nurse that person back to normalcy, we ostracize them and believe it's a spiritual attack from the village people, and you believe that they are caused. It's not caused. It's not caused. Even stress and a lot of our, financial challenges can get people to become seriously challenged in terms of mental health. You see some people, they are working and they are talking to themselves. They have even forgotten that they are on the streets working, and you see them talking to themselves. Those are early stages of mental health challenge. Let me bring this to the attention. Do you know that Mohbad, the celebrity singer that died recently at the age of 27, was alleged to have mental health challenge? That in one of the videos I watched, he was suicidal to the extent that he started locking up himself in the house and wanting to kill himself. At least in one of the videos I saw in which he was having conversation with Naira Marley. He locked himself
Yes.
up, and that one has to like advise him, why don't you go to the hospital, seek medical help? And he said he went to church and all of that conversation. So the guy really was suicide. And even given what the police authority came out with, they said when he had a court, after a fisticuff with a friend, he refused to go to the hospital. Why would somebody whose hand is bleeding refuse to go to hospital for 2 good days? And only on the third day was he administered tetanus, anti-tetanus, and all of that. What would make somebody, it's not like he is so poor that he cannot afford medical bills. Why would somebody who is a celebrity, who is a very successful singer, not have a private hospital that he uses for his family? And why will he not want to go and get treatment? From the police account, they said he called his nurse. The nurse was not available. They called another nurse. That one was not available. It was on the third day that one nurse now came, who happens to be an auxiliary nurse, now came and administered 3 injections on him, which, as we are told, the impact of the injections, went wrong, and that was what eventually killed him. But I'm drawing attention to the issue of mental health. We'd rather go to church,
yes,
or faith clinics, and start praying about something that can be dealt with medically. Like I said, it's not everybody that is changed. It's not every mental health issue that you put somebody in a shackle and casting out demons from. But unfortunately, everything that has to do with mental health in our own climate is associated with spiritual attack. Even if somebody is known to be a drug abuser, somebody who abuses drugs, marijuana, codeine, tramadol, at some point, you start exhibiting some psychosis or paranoid, or you become, you start murmuring to yourself. At that stage, anybody close to such person ought to rally around and get the person to hospital to go and see psychologist. It's not every mental health issue that you need to go and see psychiatrist.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor. I said doctor. Thank you so much, Jide Ojo. Now, still talking about on this mental health issue, is the fact that we have dearth of health professionals. Like, for instance, during the celebration last year, NMA did say that Nigeria has only just about 350 psychiatrists for a population of more than 200 million. That is quite abysmally small. Just 350. And also what compounds these mental health issues is that of stigmatization. I'm very, very sure some family members where we have people that have mental health issues, they feel embarrassed. They chain them up somewhere, even right in their house. I read a story of somebody, I think she was physically challenged, who was not even allowed that. She said they used to lock her up in the house, especially when they have events and all whatnot. So we still have stigmatization compounding mental health issues. What can be done, especially, and also lack of manpower? Talking about health personnel, psychiatrists is just about 350 to a population of over 200 million Nigerians. It's quite small.
It's quite sad, Winifred. Ironically, if you take a census or take a statistics of those 350, maybe half of them have already jackpot to UK, to US, or to other climes, given the high rate of migration or to other clients by our health professionals.
Yes.
So that also poses a serious problem.
Yes,
because these are part of the challenge we face as a nation. There isn't sufficient manpower within the country any longer. So somebody has a mental health challenge, he wants to see a doctor, they have to book appointments maybe for,
Yes.
the earliest time the doctor can see the person is in a month's time.
Yes, in a month's time.
And
Even other issues.
And the situation becomes degenerating by the day.
Yes.
So if you have money, anybody that has mental health challenge should just go to a private hospital that has medical personnel that can help take care of that. Because if you want to go to government-owned hospitals, you may not be able to see a consultant early enough before the situation will degenerate.
Yes, at least.
And that's why you now find a lot of people going for faith clinic. They now go to hospitals to have pastors cast out the demons and do prayers and all of this. I'm not against prayers, and I'm not saying that God is no longer a miracle business.
Exactly.
But even God gave the wisdom that doctors are using to treat this mental health challenge. So my own advice is that if you have a family member that is exhibiting some mental health challenge, it is important that you get close to them and help them in seeking medical attention. I know, Winifred, this is also where we need to talk about the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Yes, it's not National Health Insurance Act. Agency, sorry.
If people are on NHIS, where they don't have to pay out of pocket,
yes,
at least they can go to the hospital and get, because there are different drugs that you can use to tackle mental health challenge. Let me start with this. Did you know that some people could not sleep at night? There's something called insomnia. They find it difficult to sleep. And when you don't sleep, when somebody does not sleep, the brain does not rest, you definitely exhibit mental health challenge.
Yes, it's true. Anxiety, we know.
And anxiety disorder and all of that. And that's why, sometimes you see people being placed on Lagatil, they are placed on this old what's this other one? Tablets that make people to sleep. There are different tablets, but the most important thing is not to go and buy on the counter drugs. Let a medical practitioner evaluate whoever is suffering from that mental health so that they can tell you the quantum of drugs. Because if you take sleeping slabet because you cannot sleep, if you take Valium, I'm trying to remember Valium. Some people, they use Valium because they could not sleep. And some people also use the same Valium to commit suicide.
Yes.
They can't be able to kill themselves. So they abuse Valium. So some people will use, instead of them to use maybe 5 milligrams of Valium because they cannot sleep, they end up using maybe 5-7 tablets. Of course, they will sleep to death. So the most important thing is awareness creation. We need to create that needed awareness that mental health does not mean death sentence. Anybody can suffer from mental health, like particularly anxiety disorder. If you hear negative news often, if you are perpetually hearing negative news, they abducted somebody here, somebody committed suicide there, somebody has stroke, somebody died in an accident, that anxiety disorder will naturally come to you. And that's why people need to also sift through what they pay attention to. Because the more negative news you pay attention to can affect your health well-being. And that's why it is advisable that we use awareness, we create the needed awareness, and more people should go into treatment of mental health, that is psychiatry. You know, there are even nurses that major in psychiatry, psychiatric nurses, psychiatric doctors, but you don't go to study psychiatry as a first as a medical doctor. You become consultant after you have gotten your MBBS. That's you have graduated as a doctor. Then you can then start using qualifying to be a medic. But I think I want to anchor this discussion on the part that now that we have two eminent medical doctors at the helm of affairs of our Federal Ministry of Health, I think they need to do more in terms of ensuring that we retain our medical practitioners. I read something in the papers yesterday that they are now thinking of recruiting consultants from among those who have retired.
Yes.
To replace those who have gone in search of greener pastures. So they now there is something that the Minister of Health is trying to package to ensure that if they cannot get young ones to stay back to take care of the medical needs of the country, then those who have retired, maybe they retire at 60 or 70, with their wealth of experience, you can get them to go back into practice. Look at the issue of a medical doctor that died in Lagos, in one of the government hospitals in Lagos, very recently, about 3 weeks ago. The guy was alleged to have worked for 72 hours, 3 days non-stop. Finished his session around 3 a.m. and still went to church in the morning. It was at the church that he collapsed and died. And his colleagues said he died as a result of being overworked. But the Lagos state government said that he did not die as a result of being overworked. But we don't know who is saying the truth. But most importantly, I think it's a commendable feat if we can get our retired medical practitioners who definitely are not trying to go abroad, who will want to stay back to give back to the society, to complement the ones that are already employed. I think that's a very well thought out. They may be aged, but experience will always be there. And I think it should be not just doctors, but also nurses and other medical personnel. We can look at because even in a war situation, you have a right to recall some retired generals to help you prosecute a war. And this is an emergency situation Nigeria is facing. How could just 350 psychiatrists treat
for 200 million Nigerians
citizens? But among those who have retired, we can get these people, and even if it's on part-time basis, let them work as consultants to government, and that will reduce the burden on the new graduates. And I think we also need to encourage the study of medicine in our institutions by incentivizing, those who are going to study in the university. And how do you do that? By giving them scholarship. If every local government can say we are supporting five students who are studying medicine in the university, for those who are indigent, we are going to pay their salaries. I tell you, we will have more than enough to replace those who are going to seek greener pasture. And we can do a lot more to also get them retained there so that people don't have to go abroad in search of greener pastures.
All right, thank you so much. You really showed positive light on this issue of mental health in Nigeria. Now going back to our headline story today, leadership. We have insecurity is actually what we also discussed yesterday about lack of CCTV monitoring cameras in schools despite attacks in schools nationwide. So leadership is coming up again with another leading one. Insecurity, 60,000 schools vulnerable to attacks nationwide. 60,000 schools vulnerable to attacks nationwide. What can be done about it? Because we are having situations whereby kidnapping of our students is still on the rampage. Every now and then we hear reports of kidnap in schools. Most of the schools in the north have since folded up because of these kidnap attempts. What can actually be done? Because it's one thing for you to make reports, and it's another thing for federal government or even state governments to follow up and do the proper thing.
Again, I think it also borders on general insecurity across the country.
Yes.
As we talk now about how many of our youth corps members traveling from one of the South states going to, is it Sokoto or Zamfara? They were going for their NYC. And they've been abducted for over 1 month. They are yet to be released.
Yes.
It's a very sad story. Just last week, we read that University of Zamfara, bandits came and abducted about 25 ladies or students, female students, and they are still in their custody. So in about 2015 or 2016, there was this safe school initiative that was launched.
Yes.
And one had thought that this safe school initiative would have been expanded and consolidated upon. Unfortunately, many of our schools are still porous. There are no perimeter fence. Recall that even here in the University of Abuja here, was it 2021 or 2022, bandits came and picked about 6 staff of the university and abducted them, although days later they were rescued. And, you know, it's a very sad story. 60,000 schools shut as a result of lack of because of security concerns. In fact, I learned Niger State, which is a neighboring state to us, is one of the states that are mostly affected, where in many local governments or in some local governments there, schools cannot open because of fear of abduction. And it shows that our government is not doing enough to think out of the box on how to ensure safety of pupils and students in schools. The other thing I think I need to flag is the issue of adequate data and also planning. I learned that the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps has trained some of his personnel with the hope of deploying them to our schools to provide security for those schools. But you ask yourself, what's the total strength of NCDC, their civil defense?
Yes.
What's their total strength that if you deploy them to schools alone,
50,000.
would the other assignment they have in the act establishing them not suffer? So it's a dicey situation. And we all know that one major challenge this country faces today is issue of insecurity.
It is.
Travelers are not having it funny. Even a short journey across neighboring states, you have to pray and fast that you go safe and come back safe. And that is just to let you know how bad the situation has become. We have changed the service chief several times over, but the situation is yet to significantly improve. But a lot can be done. We can also have, Winifred, I think my own suggestion would be we need to get back to what we are running away from, which is the issue of state police.
Okay.
State police. We need to have state police. You may say, oh, many states are establishing vigilantes. I tell you for free, vigilantes cannot do the effective work of policing, because what the vigilantes carry is just like ding guns, machetes, and maybe charms. These bandits come with sophisticated weapons that you have never seen. We now learned that bandits are launching drones. They are using AK-49, AK-47, which the vigilantes do not have. So you need to have state police so that states that have the resources can go ahead and have a properly established state police that can complement the civil defense, complement the federal police, and then effectively ensure adequate policing of these schools. And the communities also have to rise up to the occasion. The traditional rulers, this is where you also need to assign them specific responsibilities. Even if you have to saddle them with working with the local government chairpersons to ensure security in their respective domains. I think we need these traditional rulers because they are custodians of our culture and tradition. And they can do a lot by mobilizing the people in their communities. And we know how those days of intertribal wars, how the traditional rulers, spearhead the protection of their various communities. The traditional chiefs are there. The hunters are there under the hunters are under the traditional institution. You know that. So these hunters can work with state police, can work with civil defense to ensure better security of our schools, so that at least they can nip in the bud this arbitrary abduction of our students. Even if you have perimeter fence, you have CCTV cameras around these schools, they can be, you can scale fences, and even the cameras may not be functional because there's no electricity to power them. And of course, they can also be demobilized by the bandits. But when you have manpower readily available to secure the school 24/7, particularly at night when the schools are vulnerable, I think we would be able to reduce substantially this issue of security breaches in our schools and abduction of our students.
All right. Thank you so much, Jide Ojo. It's been a pleasure having you today, but it's been a long while I had you on the program. And I look forward to having you same time next week on the program. It was quite clear and well articulated.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much, well viewers. This is where we end today's Tuesday edition of your favorite program on television, Inside Nigeria. Well, I've had my guest, my in-house guest. He used to be a midweek guest in the house, but now, obviously, he's now on Tuesday. Jide Ojo is a syndicated columnist, a public affairs analyst, and of course, a TV host. I look forward to having you same time, same station on the program. This is where we draw the curtain on today's program, Inside Nigeria. Same time, same station. Tomorrow is another date you can't afford to miss. I'm Winifred Weber. See you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and ad, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.